What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Teo Lopez, former undisputed, and that's disputed, lightweight champion, has moved up in weight class to 140 pounds. He was killing himself making 135. His trainer, who was also his dad, said that he had stayed at that weight one fight too many, and he paid the ultimate cost by losing to George Kambosos. Now, he had a good win yesterday. Very good win. A much needed win. Made his debut at 140 pounds, and he was able to stop prematurely, in my opinion, Teo Campa, 7th round TKO. So he made his debut, and it was a good debut. I wouldn't say it was a great debut, but a good debut. I would probably rate his performance a B. He got touched up in that fight, though. He seemed like he was having problems with the pressure that Campa was bringing at times in that fight. And Campa was able to hold up to his shots. His power that was devastating at 135 didn't seem to be as devastating at 140 pounds. Maybe you could chalk that up to Campa having a great chin, or maybe you could chalk it up to him moving up in weight and his power was not carrying up from 135 to 140 pounds. We will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But he was able to finally find his rhythm. Now, he said after the fight that it was due to mostly rust, but he was getting touched up, man. He was fighting too much off the ropes for my liking, but he was able to use his speed advantage, his power advantage, and his slickness to overcome a rough, rugged, determined Teo Campa. Now, a lot of people say, well, damn, Teo Campa was a nobody. He should have been able to walk through him. He should have been able to not have the problem he had in this fight. But the thing about these guys that fight over in Mexico, you really don't know a lot about them. They fighting in Mexico, and in Mexico fighting is at a certain level. It's not the level of a fighter that's fighting exclusively in the United States. But with all that being said, there's a lot of guys that I've seen that come over there fighting from exclusively in Mexico and come over here and do good. And they just need the opportunity. I think Canelo Alvarez is doing a good job with letting a lot of fighters that's fighting up on his stable get a lot of recognition with the zone. That's part of the deal that he's got going on with Eddie Hearn in Matchroom Boxing. He's able to get a lot of guys that's up under his umbrella, that being Canelo Promotion. He's able to give them the limelight, the shine that they otherwise wouldn't get with Matchroom Boxing. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. As far as his next fight, you know, a lot of talk about him chasing Josh Taylor and becoming two-division world champion, but that's a pipe dream because Josh Taylor's going to be taking on Jack Cattrall November 26th over there in the UK. He got a couple of vacated belts that's going to be on the line with Regis Prograis taking on Jose Zepeda. That'll be for the WBC title. Then you also have a fight coming up this Saturday on the Adrian Broner, Omar Figueroa undercard. You got a fight coming down between, I can't even remember this guy's name, Akhmadiev taking on Plalo or thing or something like that. That's going to be for the vacant WBA middleweight title. So you got a lot of things going on at 140 pounds. And you got the IBF that's going to eventually strip Josh Taylor. And they'll be having a vacant title on the line toward the end of 2022. So that's going to leave Josh Taylor with one belt. So Teo Lopez, as far as fighting for a belt in his next fight, I don't see that happening. I see the likely scenario is him taking on Arnold Barbosa Jr. or a Jose Ramirez for a WBC eliminator at 140 pounds. I think that's going to be the likely scenario for his next fight. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, Oscar De La Hoya was at the fight, and he said that he would like to talk with Bob Arum, sit down with him and discuss a potential matchup involving Teo Lopez taking on Ryan Garcia. And that fight would be for a lot of money, but for no belt. And Teo Lopez seemed to indicate after the fight that he's chasing belts, and that's a fight that he would like to revisit somewhere down the line, but he wants to become a two-division world champion first. But if it's none of those fights available for him, whether he rather take on a Ryan Garcia for way more money than he would make taking on a Arnold Barbosa or even a Jose Ramirez Jr., which would be a very fan-friendly, exciting fight. And the fight with Ryan Garcia also would be a very good, fan-friendly, exciting fight. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. I thought, again, as far as the fight goes between Teofimo Lopez, let me cut this off, Teofimo Lopez and Pedro Campa, I thought he should have used his jab more. He was able to get away with that with Pedro Campa. Pedro Campa was coming through the front door, as I say, unannounced. He was using the jab at times to the body, but he did not use the jab enough as far as bringing the pressure, close the distance. That's the thing about pressure fighters don't understand. When you are a pressure fighter, jab to the body, that jab to the body will stifle the movement of the guy that you're trying to get close to and land your clean, effective shots. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he didn't do enough of that. He did it at times, Campa, but he didn't do it enough. And again, Teofimo Lopez didn't use his jab enough in my fight. I think if he could have used that jab, because he had the speed advantage, he had the quickness advantage, he could have shot that jab out and he could have made Campa constantly have to reset. And it seemed like when he did throw the jab, it was more as a rangefinder to land the right hand. Now, he was landing that left hook at will early on. And I was saying to a guy that I was watching the fight with at the Sports Bar Twin Peaks, I was like, man, this guy, Campa, needs to start circling to his left to take away Teofimo Lopez's left hook. But give Teofimo Lopez trainer and dad a lot of credit. He told him to start setting the right hand up. He's already aware of your left hook because you've been catching with the left hook at will, and that right hand was what set up the knockout, set up the stoppage. Let me put it like that. I don't say it was a knockout. It's more of a stoppage, a TKO. Referee jumped in my opinion, prematurely. But I think the right hand was set up because Campa was so leery getting caught with that left hook that put the right hand into play. And Teofimo Lopez was able to land that, and then he came behind with the left hook, which ultimately ended up stopping that fight. Now, he dropped him one time, and then when he got back up, he was able to continue through that round. And then, like I said, the right hand caught him later on in the 7th round, and he was able to follow it up with a left hook and get the stoppage as the referee, Tony Weeks, jumped in. You know what I don't like about these referees, man? I think when they referee in a fight with a guy that's a decided underdog, if he get in any kind of trouble, they subject to stop that type of fight more than if you got two champions fighting in a unification, or a champion fighting a guy that's very well regarded, well respected in boxing. He's either a mandatory or a guy that's fought for a title, former champion. They tend to let that type of fight go on a little bit longer. This is more of an even type of fight going into it. They let that fight go on more than if you got a guy that's a huge underdog. He gets in any kind of sign of trouble, gets hurt, he jumps in and stop it, saying, okay, well, this fight wasn't supposed to go that long anyway. I don't know if it's a subconscious thing, or what the case may be, but I noticed that throughout the sport of boxing, over the history of boxing, that when it's a one-sided prediction going into the fight, those type of fights seem to get stopped a little bit earlier. And then they don't give those guys the benefit of doubts. Guys that they people going into it don't look at having much of a chance to win the fight going into it. So anytime, any sign of trouble, they get up, and even if they get up and they in any kind of trouble, they'll wave it off, or they'll let them get up, and then any next sign of trouble, they're gonna wave it off, stop it. That's the same thing what happened with in this fight between Pedro Campa and Teofimo Lopez. As Tony Weeks, in my opinion, Tony Weeks stopped this fight prematurely, in my opinion. But I don't think it was going to change the outcome of the fight. I think this fight was going one way, as Teofimo Lopez, who in my opinion had some trouble early on. I did give Campa one round. Going into that 7th round, I had it 5-1 Teofimo Lopez, and I thought Campa was doing some good things, some good body work. He was doing some good landing some good right hands and stuff like that. So he was doing some good work into that fight. It was just that I just thought Teofimo Lopez was a little bit more consistent, you know, through each round, and I thought he was landing the more cleaner and the more powerful shots. And I think that was the difference with him, in my opinion, being up 5-1. With all that being said, I still think the referee stopped the fight way too early. Way too early. I think he was pot shotting from the outside. He was landing some vicious shots, but when you see how he was taking those shots throughout the fight, you say, man, this guy's got a good chin. So a guy that's got a real good chin, you might want to give him a benefit of doubt. For a guy like Amir Khan, got a glass jaw, he get hurt, he get up, do the stinker leg and stuff like that. You really got to watch out because he can get seriously hurt. But a guy like Campa, a guy that does have a real strong chin, and he showed that throughout the fight, I think you give him the benefit of the doubt. But again, he's going into this fight as a big underdog, and people already had in their mind that this was going to be a showcase fight for Teofimo Lopez. And any sign of trouble, they might give you one chance, but you get back up and you get hurt again, they're going to wave the fight off. It seems to happen to guys that are not held in high regard going into the fight, opposed to two champions fighting, or a champion fighting a guy that's well respected, well regarded in that particular division. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard.Briscoe.3551. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.